Today we are fishing with the cheapest fishing kit you can get at Walmart. This is the Yum Bass Fishing Kit that retails for $15. The challenge is simple. We're going to fish with only this kit today and try and catch a fish on every lure in the box. The goal is to determine if this kit is a value for the price point or if you are better spending your money on something else. Stick around to find out. So we just made it out to the lake and we have a perfect bass fishing morning. It's cloudy, it's foggy, it's fall time, and I think the fish are going to be biting. So we're gonna make this quick, but we have to unbox our tackle box right here and see what we have to fish with for the day. I grabbed this in the store. I didn't really pay attention to what was on it or cherry pick it or anything like that. We're just gonna see if this kit is worth the money. Now the main thing that it shows on here, it's a bunch of soft plastics, which is what Yum is known for. It does say it has 2 4/0 hooks and 3 3/0 hooks. It does not say sinkers on here, so we're gonna see if there's any sinkers in here. I don't know why you would get a Texas rig kit and it not have sinkers in it, but we're gonna find out here shortly. And it does say assortments may vary, so you might not get the same package that I have right here, but I guess that's kind of the fun in it. You can grab a tackle box for 15 bucks and get a variety of different plastics to try. It's maybe something you've never used before. So let's go ahead and get this opened up and see what we got in here. Oh my gosh, the packaging is atrocious on this, especially if you wanna reuse this tackle box when you're done. Like, they got this thing super taped up. Okay, so starting off, let's run through each of the baits one by one in here. It looks like we have a Yum Dinger, watermelon red. You can't beat that. That's probably gonna be an easy one to catch some fish on today. That is the 5-inch version, but it also has some 4-inch versions in here. So if you have some more finesse fish, this looks like a watermelon seed or a green pumpkin type color. Another great bait right there, a smaller profile if you need some tougher biting fish. The other thing we have is another Yum Dinger, and this one's in June bug. Those are some very effective bass fishing baits, especially in the fall time. You can catch a ton of fish on Senkos, whether they're wacky rigged, Texas rigged, however you want to do it. The next thing we have here is some type of a little finesse worm in green pumpkin. I kind of like this bait. It's a little downsized bait. I think you can catch a bunch of fish on that little guy right there. I've never fished this bait, and I don't actually even know what the name of it is on their website, but it's some type of a little finesse worm that they make, so that's an interesting choice there. And then this one is like a plum or like a blue fleck. It's a curly tail worm. A curly tail worm always catches fish. It's one of the best baits out there. It's one of the first baits I started bass fishing with, and it will pretty much always catch fish. And the last bait they give you in the box here is a lizard. I don't fish with lizards too much. If I do, it's usually on a Carolina rig, but we have a little watermelon seed lizard in here, so we can play around with that one today. To be honest, that one's probably gonna be the toughest one out of this whole box, but overall, the selection that's in here is actually pretty good. If you don't bass fish or you're getting into bass fishing for the first time, you don't really know what to pick. If you pick this box up, it has the majority of what you might need to go fishing. Now on the front, it does show the lizard, the dinger, and the curly tail worm, so it basically tells you exactly what's in the kit. I don't know if they have other ones. I feel like I've seen other ones that might have some like creature baits or stuff like that, and I guess it depends on the kit you get, and that's probably why it says assortment may vary. Now with the hooks, there's 2 things to know. There's no weights. So I don't know, like a lizard or this curly tail worm here, I don't know who would ever fish that just weightless. I mean, you can, there's nothing wrong with doing that weightless, but to give this box a little bit more versatility, I would have liked to see at least a couple weights in there, maybe even one size, but then you could Texas rig your Senkos. You could wacky rig them, even though this isn't the ideal hook for a wacky rig. You could put the Texas rig on the worm here and do a weightless Texas rig. Like, you could do all kinds of stuff if there were just a couple weights in here along with the hooks. Now, because there are no weights in here, I'm gonna give myself a little bit of grace and I'm gonna choose one weight out of my tackle box, probably gonna be a 3/16 ounce, just so that we can actually effectively fish these baits. But if you were buying this in the store, I'd recommend buying 1 pack of weights. You could get a pack of lead weights for like $2. So buy a pack of lead weights in this kit, you're at 17 bucks and you're ready to go fishing. Also, these hooks do not look like they're top quality, which they probably are not. This one actually has a burr on it already and it's not very sharp. So I might have to hit some of these with the hook file, or we'll see what we have to do, but we'll see how good these hooks are. That's always a concern when you buy kits. Usually they have to skimp on something to get the price point. Sometimes it's usually the hooks. So one more thing we gotta do here is I did a little bit of math to figure out, can you just buy these baits separately and spend the same amount of money and get a better selection? So to get one of these Plano boxes, it is roughly $7.99. So if we take that, if you want the Plano box, some people you might not even want it. If you're gonna buy a bunch of bags of plastics, you don't really need a Plano box. You can just put them in a backpack or a bag or whatever. Even if you were gonna buy the hooks and weights, they usually come in their own pack. So you wouldn't even need the Plano box, but we're gonna count it because it's here. And then each of these do look like full bags of soft plastics. There's like 8 of each of these in here. So a bag of Yum soft plastics is $3.99, and we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of them. $3.99 times 6 is $23.94 plus $7.99 for the tackle box. And then we have 5 hooks, which if you buy a pack of Gamakatsu EWGs, those are not Gamakatsu EWGs, but that's the one I'm gonna compare to, because if I were to buy this separate, I would buy Gamakatsu EWGs. I wouldn't buy these hooks in here, but those are $5.49, and then call it $1.99 for a pack of sinkers. This kit would end up being $17 if you bought this kit and a $2 pack of lead worm weights. If you were to buy all of it separate, it's $39.41 right there. Tackle Warehouse, wherever you wanna buy it. $39.41 if you were to add all this up. Now, I will link all the gear in the description below if you want to check any of it out. The only thing I won't be able to link is this kit because it's only available at Walmart, but I'll list all the individual items along with the rod and reel we used today if you want to buy any of the individual items. It helps support the channel a ton. But we have to determine, is this kit actually worth the value? It's literally half the price of buying everything by itself. So does not having the freedom of being able to pick what color and size and type of bait you want equate to a 50% savings? We're gonna put that to the test right now. We're gonna find out. Let's go get a bait tied on and get to fishing. And before we get today's challenge started, if you could head down below and hit the subscribe button. Only 14% of you that watch the channel are actually subscribed, and I'm trying to reach that 100,000 subscriber goal by the end of the year. So if you could help me out with that, that would be greatly appreciated. But for now, let's get some of these baits tied on and start catching some fish. All right, so we're ready to get this thing started. We got our rod ready to get rigged up, and I allowed myself to grab one weight size out of my tackle box. We're gonna go with a 3/16. I feel that's probably the best size for anything. If I were to make that kit and put a weight in it, I would put a 3/16. You can fish shallow with it, but you can also let it sink, and it might sink a little slower, but it gets down to the bottom. You can fish it down into 10, 15 foot of water if you really want to wait for it to sink that long. And then we're gonna go ahead and grab one of our hooks out of here. I think we're gonna go with one of the bigger hooks first. Let's make sure this guy is sharp. Not too bad. These are very light wires, so I'm kind of concerned I might bend these out. I'm gonna be very gentle on any of the fish that we hook today, not try and rip their faces off. These should be thin enough that a gentle hook set should be able to put the hook in, but you can straighten it out if you hook a big fish. Like you can see, just me putting that pressure on it, I can bend that just a little bit. So not the greatest hooks, but like I said, you probably expect that when you're buying a fishing kit. And I think the first thing we're gonna start with is the curly tail worm. It's one of my favorites. It catches a ton of fish. And really it's just a fantastic bass fishing lure that I think we're gonna try and get started with this and get this one knocked out quickly. We'll probably move, I think we're gonna probably save the lizard for a while because that's gonna be tough. It might be easy, but I think it's gonna be tough. So set our kit right there. We got our bait all rigged up and ready to go. So we have a blue fleck, like a 7 or 8 inch worm with a little 3/16 ounce weight. And that is a deadly little bass fishing deal right there. So let's get up here and get to fishing. Like we said, the goal is to catch a fish on every lure, and we have 6 different lures. So I think a few of them will be easy. A couple of them will have a little bit of a difficulty, but let's see how good this kit is and if it can really catch some fish for 15 bucks. The first place I'm gonna start here, we have this bank. It's a steeper bank, so it has some deeper water access. With the lake being a little low right now, it's probably a better idea to fish some deeper water, especially with fall coming. They haven't quite made their way shallow yet. They're working their way there, but they're not quite there yet. So to try and pick some of these fish off as they're making their way back to the shallows, I'm fishing some of these logs and this grass that's all on this bank here. They could be in the grass if it's still living, so there's some alive clumps of it up in here. And then the wood should always have fish, especially this time of year in the fall. It's like one of their favorite pieces of cover. So we're just gonna pick apart all these pieces of wood up here and fish it really slowly and just drag this worm through all of it and see if we can trick a fish into biting. Ooh. Oh, I had one. He spit it out. The one hard part about fall fishing is the fish get so scattered out this time of year that you have to cover a ton of water to find them. I actually don't really like fishing slow moving baits like this time of year. I would rather fish stuff like reaction baits, top waters, stuff like that. You don't catch a ton of fish, but you don't catch a ton of fish in the fall regardless. But at least with the top waters and stuff, you can keep it moving, keep covering water and find those fish. With this, to entice a fish into biting, you really have to fish it slowly on top of fish that are already all scattered out. It can make it pretty tough this time of year, fishing a Texas rig. Oh, I had a bite and I missed him. Oh, I think we got one. Yep, we got one. He's a little guy, but we got our first fish. Look at him, he ate that big old worm. The Texas rig worm always comes through. Ate that black and blue or blue fleck worm, whatever color it is. I don't really know. It's like a purpley, ow, he stabbed me. Fish probably thinks the same thing. Not a big one, but we're gonna go ahead and throw him back. The goal was just to catch a fish on every worm, so that's number one. Let's see what we can do next. Which one should we go with? I'm gonna try just this little straight tail worm. Almost fish it like a shaky head. It's not on a shaky head, but this would make a very good shaky head worm. It would also make a very good drop shot worm. This little straight finesse design is perfect for any of those really subtle techniques. So I'm gonna basically fish this like I would a shaky head. Oh no, I actually bent the hook out on that fish. That fish isn't even that big and I barely even set the hook. I didn't even like set the hook, I just kind of leaned into him. We're gonna bend this back just a touch. So far, not a fan of the hooks. Probably should have gone with a 3/0 hook, but I didn't want to retie. That weight's probably too big, but I only allowed myself one weight. So we're gonna go with the 3/16. It's still probably okay. And we'll see if we can get any fish on the straight tail worm. I've caught so many fish over the years on a straight tail worm. It's just a great bait to catch a bunch of fish. Trick worm, finesse worm, this type of worm, any of that stuff, just as 4 to 6 inch straight tail worms, even like robo worms, all those baits are really, really good. You catch a ton of fish on just a straight tail profile. I don't know what fish think it is, but they always like it. Main thing I'm targeting with this worm, given how low the water is right now, is there's very limited cover in the water. Now it doesn't have to be in deep water, like that stick I just threw out right back over here. That's probably only in a foot of water, but it is the only stick in the water for 100 yards. So that's probably a very high percentage area where there should be some fish. Like right here, you have these rocks that come into the water, and off the end of them, there's some grass that's still growing and it looks fairly green. Like those are types of areas that these fish are gonna wanna be on this time of year. This grass, it's usually covered in grass right here, but it's all started to die off because fall is coming, the water temperatures are dropping, there's not as much daylight, we haven't got rain in a long time. That all kills off the grass that's in the water. So now as all that's dying, the last remaining patches, like this little patch right in front of me here, most likely would be a high percentage area because there's only 4 blades of grass for 100 yards in there right there. So that's all I'm really looking for with this worm, trying to keep it in those key pieces of cover. I have a feeling we're gonna rack up some numbers back in here. We have a creek channel that feeds all the way to the back here, and it has a ton of wood all over the bank, but it's all in deeper water. So with those fish trying to push bait to the backs of these creeks right now, this is a perfect place for them to be. It has the water depth they need. I think I have a fish on. I do. There we go. I'm gonna rack up some numbers back in here. I called it. Come here, buddy. That's not a bad one. He wanted all of that worm. There we go. Got him off. Little dude, we're gonna let him go and we're gonna get back to it. I've talked about it in videos before, but a lot of times when they gut hook themselves like that, if it's a hook that's easily retrievable and just a little twist will pop it out, if you can just pop it out and get them right back in the water immediately, the water actually clots the blood. Basically, like if you got a cut, it would clot over. So they can swim back in there and be just fine and not be harmed in any way. If it's something that's too deep to get it out, you just cut it and let them digest it. It's not the ideal scenario, but it's actually better than trying to yank and get it all out and play with them a whole bunch. If you start pulling their throat out and everything like that, they're dead. But if you can get it in there and get it out and let them go, even with a little bit of blood, most of the time they'll live if you can get them right back in the water quickly. That bent my hook out again. It's not much. You can see it's kind of level, but it's kind of just tipped up just a little bit. That is not good. I mean, literally every fish we're catching, we're bending the hook out. And I didn't even set the hook that hard on that fish again. So we bend it right back. Now it's in line again. We're gonna try and get the hardest bait done because this creek looks really, really good. And we're gonna grab one of our lizards. We're gonna see if we can get one to eat a lizard back in here. This is not the ideal bait for fall fishing. Not only is a Texas rig not great, but a Texas rig lizard is probably even worse. Granted, it catches fish, don't get me wrong. This is something I usually use like in the springtime when the fish are up shallow. I don't know why they like a lizard in the springtime. And the other time is when they're offshore. I'll put it on a Carolina rig. That's our little Texas rig lizard right there. And we are ready to roll and fish all of these sticks that are back in here and see if we can get one to bite the lizard. Uh-oh. We got our first snag. Lizards are not a very weedless lure because of the way the body shape is designed. Your hook point actually sticks out more than it goes into the bait. So it usually does this when you find wood. See if we can get it out. Got it. Did it bend my hook? Nope, we're still in good shape. I thought for sure with all that cover back in there, we were gonna catch some fish, but we just got that one. I don't know if they're just on very specific stuff or if they don't like the lizard, because we haven't caught a fish since we put on the lizard. I wonder how many fish this has gone past and they just don't want the lizard. I'm starting to think these fish just don't want this lizard, which is gonna be tough for the challenge for the day. I think we're gonna make a little move down to some better water and hopefully we'll run into them down there. Oh, we have a bite. Yes, we got one on the lizard. Don't come off. Don't come off. We made a move down here. We got him. Yes, we got one on the lizard. I'm so happy to be done with that bait. While it's a great bait, it's not great this time of year, but we did finally get one on the lizard there. It is not a big one, but it was another point with grass. So that's 2 bites off the same type of cover. Little guy right there, we're gonna go ahead, throw him back. We're gonna see if we can get us some more. We went about 2 hours to catch that fish, maybe an hour and a half, somewhere in there. That lizard is toast. Our hook actually did not bend on that fish, so that's a good sign. But we're actually gonna cut this off and we're gonna get a new bait on here because we're gonna go to the stick worms now, the yum dingers, and we're gonna start catching fish on that, hopefully. We should be able to churn through those pretty quickly, but let's find out how well they're biting on that. So we took our weight off and we're gonna go to a weightless version here. We're just gonna tie on the 4/0 hook. I'm gonna start with the 4/0. I might have to go to the 3/0 on the 4-inch version, but I think we're gonna save that one for last. I think that's gonna be the easiest bait to catch a fish on. A 4-inch stick worm is like money, especially on small little pond bass like this. They'll eat a 4-inch stick worm all day long. I think we're gonna go with the watermelon red one first. These fish love watermelon red in this lake, and it's actually the perfect color for them. And I'm gonna show you a little trick when we rig this up. So I'm rigging this up just a weightless Texas rig, and we have our dinger all ready to go there. But there's a trick that you can do, which we're gonna try a little bit. These fish love flukes in this lake, but I don't have a fluke. But what you can do is you can work a Senko like a fluke or any type of stick worm, and it literally darts back and forth just like a fluke would if you had no weight on it. Now you have to fish it weightless. Granted, you'd fish a fluke weightless, but you can just dart it back and forth. And in the fall, when these fish are chasing bait fish, right now they're chasing tons of bluegill in this lake. You can cover water with this thing, twitch it back and forth, dart it around, try and stir those fish up and get them excited to chasing it. And worst case, if you miss one or you see one, you can literally just fire it right back in there and let it sit. And as it's sinking, it's doing that Senko shimmy, and you can catch a fish doing that as well. So you have 2 ways to fish the same bait without re-rigging anything. Oop, there was one chasing it right there. He chased it all the way up to the boat. There we go, got one. Get out of that grass. Twitching it through there, he came up and smoked that immediately. That worked quickly and I like it. Now it does work better with some colors than others, like a watermelon red. It kind of mimics a bluegill-ish color. It's not perfect. I mean, it's a stick worm. It's not gonna look like a bluegill, but it kind of mimics like a bait fishy looking color. It's a greenish color with some glitter and some shine to it. That is not a big fish by any means. We're gonna throw him back. And we are on to bait number 5. We only have 2 left. And I'm gonna keep this same hook on, and we're actually just gonna go to the June bug dinger, and we're gonna see if we can get one on that. This one probably not gonna work darting through the water a ton, just because it's a really like dark color. A lot of times when those bait fish are suspended up in the water or darting around this grass and stuff like that, they have a lighter body color because the water's lighter, the fish are looking up at them, and it helps them camouflage better. There's one. There we go. Just letting it sit there by that grass. We got him. See, the dark color works a little bit better, especially in that grass, when you just let it fall real nice and slow next to the cover. Again, not a big one. These are a lot of like pond-sized bass. I'm basically fishing a really big pond today that you can put your boat on. It's all pond weed around the edges, not a lot of cover in the water, but so far the kit has been working, and we have one bait left to go. And then we successfully completed the challenge, and then I can give you my opinion on, is that kit worth the money or not? So let's get on the last bait here. I'm actually gonna cut this hook off as well, and I'm going to put on the 3/0, and we're gonna try something a little bit different again with the last bait, just to mix it up. We are down to our final bait here. It is a 4-inch yum dinger in like a watermelon seed color. We have our 3/0 hook, and I'm just gonna go ahead and hook this bait right through the middle, like a wacky rig. Is this the perfect hook for this? Absolutely not. But can it work? We're gonna find out. That's part of the fun of this kit. Can you do different things with it if you've never fished before? This isn't the proper way to do it, but can it work, and can you catch fish, and can you try different techniques with $15? Biggest thing with this is just gonna be very, very patient. It's only a 4-inch Senko, so it doesn't have a lot of weight to it. And the hooks are very light wire, so they don't have a lot of weight to it. So this thing's really gonna take a lot of time to get down to the bottom. Basically put it right where we think a fish is gonna be and let that thing sit there. Oh, we got a bite. No! I lost him. I wonder if it's because the hook is in a weird place. I'm thinking the way I have this hook set up, they can see it's too big, so they bite up into the hook and then they stop. If the hook was smaller, like a regular wacky rig hook, they'd eat the whole worm and then you'd end up getting a hook in their mouth, but I think they're a little too smart for that. These are kind of pressured fish, so I think they're a little too smart for the fake wacky rig. There we go, got him. On the 4-inch Senko, nice. Another little bass, but we caught us our 6th fish, which means we caught a fish on every bait in that box. We did 3 different rigs. We twitched it on the surface. We caught 1 sinking, 2 sinking on the weightless wacky rig, and we caught 3 on the weighted Texas rig. Granted, if you didn't have weights in there, don't know how that would have done. 50% of the baits were able to fish weightless, but we're gonna go ahead and throw him back. And for my final opinion on the box, what I would say is if you're just getting into fishing for the first time, you don't really have any experience, you don't know what plastics to get, you're a little bit confused, I would get this kit. For 15 bucks, I would buy this kit. I'd buy a pack of 3/16 or 1/8 lead worm weights, and you're ready to go. You have everything you need to go out there, throw a Texas rig, throw a weightless Texas rig. If your fish aren't very smart, you could throw a wacky rig even with that crazy hook in there, or you could buy a pack of wacky rig hooks for another $3 or so, and for $20 you can fish multiple different techniques all out of one box, and it gives you a bit to try some different colors in your lake if you don't know what those fish like. It gives you some different shapes to try to see what those fish like or what you like. But if you have been fishing for a while, you already know what you like, or you already have a collection of stuff, you don't need a Plano box to store your stuff in, I would recommend going out and just getting the yum baits in the colors you want, and buy a better pack of hooks and some weights. You can eliminate the Plano box for like $8 right off the bat there, and that 30 something dollars that we were talking about, you subtract $8 off of it, that's a good chunk of it right there just in the Plano box. If you don't need the Plano box, you can just buy the worms by themselves, and then you're not getting stuck with like lizards. If you look through these kits in the Walmart, you can actually kind of see what's through the back there, so you could cherry pick a kit that you might like better than others if they have some variety. But that way you're getting exactly what you want if you buy them on your own. You can go out, if you know they like watermelon red, you can get some watermelon red stuff. You can buy a pack of Gamakatsu hooks that aren't gonna bend out like those ones are. You might spend a little bit more, but you're going to get better quality gear at the end of the day that's going to help you catch more fish in the end. You're not gonna have bent hooks on big fish or anything like that. I hope you guys enjoyed this budget fishing challenge, and if you want to see me do more budget fishing challenges, let me know what you'd wanna see down in the comments below. If you wanna see another budget fishing challenge I already did, check this video out right here, hit the subscribe button down below, and thanks for watching. We'll see you on the next one.